The US presidential elections might seem straightforward. People vote and the candidate with the most votes wins, right? Not exactly. Despite what you might think, winning the national popular vote doesn't guarantee victory. It's possible to lose the popular vote but still become president. How? Well, it all comes down to the Electoral College. A system built from compromise and shrouded in critiques of whether it's actually the fairest and most effective system for electing the next president of the United States. So today, we'll briefly discuss the history, process, and pros and cons of the Electoral College. As always, you can dive deeper into the resources below. One of the most important, yet often misunderstood parts of the US political system, the Electoral College is the mechanism that officially decides who becomes president every 4 years. It consists of 538 electors, which represent the 50 states and Washington, D.C. The Constitution requires a winning presidential candidate to secure a majority in the Electoral College in order to win, specifically 270 votes out of the 538 electors. Despite being shown on national polls and election night, the national vote tally has no direct bearing on who will become president. The Electoral College adds a layer of complexity. And this system can sometimes lead to surprising results, like in 2016 when Donald Trump won the presidency, even though Hillary Clinton secured more votes nationwide. This has actually happened 5 times in American history. Other examples include George W. Bush in 2000, Benjamin Harrison in 1888, Rutherford B. Hayes in 1876, and John Quincy Adams in 1824. But how did the US end up with this system? The idea of the Electoral College goes all the way back to the Founding Fathers and the Constitutional Convention of 1787. You see, one side wanted to create a parliamentary system of government, where members of parliament chose the nation's leader, while others wanted direct democracy, where the people's vote picked the next leader for the nation. So, as a compromise to strike a balance between giving the people a direct vote and protecting the nation from the potential dangers of mob rule, the Electoral College was born. The Electoral College would act as an intermediary that would take the people's will into account, but would also protect against majoritarianism. And while this system was designed with good intentions, some scholars suggest that the system was designed to appease southern states. At that time, around 40% of the southern population were enslaved blacks who couldn't vote, yet 60% were included in population counts due to the 3/5 compromise. This arrangement would have, in theory, provided northern states with more influence in a direct voting system. So how does the Electoral College actually work today? Each state is assigned a certain number of electoral votes, which equals its total number of senators, every state has 2, plus its number of House representatives, which varies by the state's population. For example, California has 52 congressmen and 2 senators, which gives it a total of 54 electors. Washington, D.C., which has no congressional delegation, was awarded 3 electoral votes by the 23rd Amendment in 1961. Prior to the election, political parties select their state of electors. On election day, voters cast their ballots, and whichever candidate wins the most votes in a state typically wins all of that state's electoral votes, except in Nebraska and Maine, which distribute theirs proportionally. Once a candidate reaches 270 electoral votes, they are declared the winner. But it doesn't end there. In December, electors meet in their state capitals to formally cast their votes for president and vice president. Those votes are then sent to Congress, where they're officially counted in January before the president is inaugurated. While the Electoral College has been part of the US system since the country's founding, it's not without controversy. In fact, polls consistently show that a majority of Americans would prefer to scrap it altogether. Why? Critics argue that it's undemocratic. In some cases, as mentioned earlier, a candidate can win the presidency without winning the popular vote, leading many to feel like their votes don't count. This is especially true in states that are solidly red or blue. If you're a Democrat in a Republican state, or vice versa, you may feel like your vote is wasted because the other side is almost guaranteed to win all of your state's electoral votes. However, defenders of the system say the Electoral College forces candidates to run national campaigns. Without it, candidates might only focus on the most populated areas, like New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago, leaving rural areas and smaller states behind. So, in the end, while the Electoral College officially votes for who will become the next president of the United States, your vote still matters, as it will help decide who your electors will cast their ballots for in December. What are your thoughts on the Electoral College? Let us know in the comments, and if you'd like to dive deeper into understanding our nation's political system, visit the resources below, and consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this.